G'day fam, I'm JMTC.
And I'm Kyla Musselman, and together we are the ladies of T+T Podcast.
Now produced by T+T Productions.
Oh yeah, we upgraded. This podcast is for every theater lover out there. We've got the juicy details and behind the scenes magic that goes into theater creation. It's fascinating.
This season, we are bringing you something extra special. We're collaborating with the Canadian Guild of Stage Directors and Choreographers to bring you a series of 8 episodes centered around assistant and associate directors and choreographers from some of the industry's best.
As always, our vibe is all-inclusive, educational, and inspirational.
So if that vibe's with you, then buckle up, legends, and away we go.
Hello, peeps. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for another episode in this series. Today, we get to hear from Katie German, and Katie is talking to us all about work-life balance. And personally, I really do think of work-life balance of what I'm doing at home, what I'm doing away from the workspaces. But Katie does such a great job about encouraging us to bring that balance back to our workspaces, back to the rehearsal hall, back to our creative zones. And Katie, thank you for being so open, honest, and generous with your time and understanding with our group. We all really enjoyed this conversation. So let's dive right in. Here we go. Please welcome Katie German. We have Katie German with us today. Katie is a Métis director, performer, educator, and mother. Born and raised in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Katie is currently the owner and director of Junior Musical Theatre Company, the assistant program director of Pimootayowin Creator Circle with the Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre, and is a mother of a creative 8-year-old and a joy-filled 2-year-old who keep her on her toes and very curious. Up next, Katie is directing a Pickle at the Winnipeg Jewish Theatre. We're so happy to have her here today. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you. Glad.
Okay, so starting off today, our topic is work-life balance. I cannot think of somebody who is like a better person to have as this topic, because right in your bio, I've read a few iterations of it. And just as you say, you are a, quote, director, performer, educator, and mother, literally showing the world your work-life balance the moment anyone goes to read a little bit more about you. And so it's going to be such a pleasure to dive into this with you. And you've touched on it, but I just want to mention it again. How are you feeling today, Katie?
Me? I'm feeling good. Yeah.
Katie, can you tell us a bit more about what your balance looks like day to day? What are the responsibilities you need to tend to on both sides? What's your day like?
Yeah. So practically, I wake up extremely early. My 2-year-old wakes me up. I haven't used an alarm in I don't know how long. I mean, I have one, but it doesn't happen. It happens later. So my 2-year-old wakes me up at 6 a.m. usually, maybe 5:30, sometimes 5 o'clock. And then we hang out a little bit, and then my 8-year-old wakes up, and then we have breakfast. And then I ask them 9,000 times to get ready for daycare, because like putting pants on is something that you just cannot hold in your brain when there's other things going on. So yeah, I get them ready. I send my youngest one to daycare, and then my other one goes to like morning daycare and then goes to school. And then I just try to crush in as much as I can during the day. And sometimes that's like doing emails that I've put off because I'm really terrible with email. And it's the easiest thing to ignore because it doesn't immediately come onto my cell phone and bug me or phone me. So a lot of times it's like getting myself ready and responding to emails, and then doing the work that I need to. I'm prepping for a show right now, so I'm working through a Pickle, which is a 1-person show at WJT at Winnipeg Jewish Theatre, and I've been like doing a lot of research and figuring out that kind of stuff, and then balancing like I could fill my entire week with like coffee dates and lunches, and I've been fortunate that a lot of incoming artists have been wanting to connect and wanting to hang out and just kind of like talk about the industry and talk about life and talk about things. And I'm exceptionally honest, and so I think that maybe is a bit of a draw, because I'll tell them when things suck a lot, or like if things suck, and if things are great too. So I have to be really conscious of that. I'm not an extremely social person, so it takes a lot out of me going out for coffees, and I freaking love it. It's so wonderful, but like going out for coffees and lunch, I have to like kind of wind back up to do work after it, because it takes a lot. And then and then I pick up my kids, and then we have dinner together, and we try to crush in some playtime and try to do things with them before they have to go to bed. So what does balance look like? I mean, things that I'm trying to start dropping into my practice, I have made a conscious effort to try to take care of my body a little bit more, because that seems to be the first thing that I let go, and I have let go. So like I'm trying to go outside just to go for a run or go for a walk or whatever. And I find breathing air, outside air that's not in a house, is really important to me. And I don't know what the difference is, but I just walk outside and I breathe and I feel different, and I can think differently. So I find connecting with my surroundings, connecting with grass, connecting with trees, connecting with the sun, the rain, that kind of stuff that that kind of recharges me. And I just recently kind of found that out, because I went on a mentorship trip to the NAC in Ottawa, and they put us in this beautiful hotel in the middle of downtown, and it's like surrounded by all of these wonderful huge cement structures. And I every day woke up and just like dreading having to walk around, because I couldn't connect with grass and trees and that. And I ended up finding trees that I would just go and sit by and touch and be like, we're here, this is okay, we're here. So it's a recent thing that I realized how important that is to me, and to be able to connect with outside stuff. I think it just reminds me a little bit more that there's more to life than what I tend to really fixate and focus on. Which is also why I love kids too, because it's like, not to tokenize them, but it's like, it's a physical thing that's like, there is something more important that you need to focus on right now, instead of worrying about how your blocking is going to go down with that actor the next day. Like it's just nice to have some things that I can just be like, you know what, I'm going to put this in a little box for a couple hours, and I'm going to focus on this because that needs my attention right now. Yeah.
So really, like, balancing, that sounds like compartmentalizing as well, just being like, and knowing yourself, like finding who you are personally outside of what you do, and your family, and like, you need trees, you need nature, like it's going to be different for everybody needs something else that they can ground them. Kind of on that vein, Katie, did you ever have a tipping point that you were like, oh, was there a moment in your life where you're like, yeah, I gotta redo?
Yeah, like every couple months there's something that I'm like, oh, there we go. I still consider myself young and learning, and I think it tends to be when something new comes along and I fully invest in that something new that my life shifts, and then I recognize that there's like a shift there. Some really crucial moments, when I went to theater school, and I don't know if y'all have been to theaters, I'm still searching for someone that said my theater school experience was 100% amazing, because I haven't found that person yet. Right?
I don't know if they exist. But
right? But what I mean, like, I had an okay time, but there was a couple like not great things. And one of the things, my grandpa passed away, and I just was like, okay, well, I gotta fly home and be with my family, because that's what we do. And there was a hot moment where the school was like, I don't think you can do that because you're intact. And I was like, I have to, like, and it was a role that I was like, I'm confident in what I'm doing, you're confident in what I'm doing. I need to go home for a day so that I can mourn my grandparent passing. And that's something that has kind of stuck with me and resonated with me for quite some time. That it was just a moment of me being like, this theater thing, which I love and I have done for a very long chunk of my life and has supported me in really wonderful ways. Like, it can become that. And it was just a really crucial moment to be like, I don't want it to ever become that. I don't want it to take away from who I am as a person, from my community connections, from my people that I love, to the point that I can't participate in things. And that's something that I try to remind myself, especially now that I'm directing, or that I'm potentially being in charge of rooms or whatever, that there is life outside the apartment. Like, there's life outside the thing that we're doing, and it's really important to honor those things, to ensure that the people can come to the room and do the things that they need to, with whole hearts. And like, you better believe, like, after being told no, I mean, I still went, but after being told no, when I came back, I was sassy Katie, and I was like, this was not okay, and I was not my best human, and so it's something that I just reflect on a lot, to remind myself that I need to make sure that I'm honoring other people's life things, and that they don't get told no for something that they value and feel importance and need to go to. Okay, I got one more. So I was offered the possibility of doing a role when I was 4 months out, having my second kid, Jasper, and it was a one-person show, and they asked if I was interested, and I was doing that good actor thing of being like, I need to figure out how to say yes, and the time crunch was real, and I took a moment and I was like, this is going to be impossible. I have a 4-month-old baby. The time frame was like, in a month's time, you're going to do this thing. It's a full show. I had never done a one-person show before, like a full-length one-person show. And I took a day and I asked for just like a little bit of time to think and come back with a no, and the pressure was real. Like, they were like, we need to hear right away, and I was like, I need some time, because my brain is not where it used to be to be able to make like quick responses and saying yes and no, and I can do this and I can't do this. And I took the day to see how quick I could memorize a chunk of text, and I remember I had Jasper strapped to my chest in my little baby carrier thing, and I took 7 hours to see how fast I could memorize stuff. And I remember sitting in my room with this baby on me, trying to memorize all this stuff. And there's just a moment where I looked in the mirror and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I was like, why? I was panicking, thinking that I wasn't gonna be able to do all this. And I was like, why don't I just say no? And seeing myself in the mirror, I remember just being so embarrassed that I would jeopardize like my moment with this 4-month-old that I'm never going to potentially have back. I spent an entirety trying like not to focus on him, but focus on something else. And I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I doing this to him? Why am I doing this to my family? Like, it was one of those moments where I'm like, someone made me turn around and look in that mirror, and I'm glad I did, because it made me feel kind of gross, and again, something I'm carrying with me. And I'm like, I heard my no, but I couldn't allow my heart to hear my no until I saw myself. And then I was like, why am I doing this? and I called up the theater and I said no, and they pushed back, and they're like, we can do all these things, we can help you with this, we can whatever, because they were really lovely and they wanted to make it work for me. But in my heart of hearts, I knew that it was a no for me, and that no was such a wonderful release. After I cried a little bit and was like, maybe this is the big shot that I needed, but like, it's not. It never is. Like, you can always say no to something. There's always gonna be something else coming along, as long as you're good and work really hard. But yeah, I think that was also a really important moment to for me to start like figuring out what I actually need and what actually is important. So balance. Those are a whole bunch of times that I felt balanced and completely felt not balanced.
And thank you for sharing those with us. That's really, really touching. That last story got me, of just like, yeah, every human is going to have a different set of importances, that we're doing theater, we're playing.
Yeah, and it's something that I teach kids. I have a kids company, and it's shifted over the years. It's kind of changed into something that it didn't used to be. And it's something that I try to come back to a lot, is that like, it is a job. And it is like potentially the most fun and miraculous, wonderful job in the universe. And we get paid to play. We get paid to dance and sing. Like, come on, like it is amazing. But it's a job, and that's something that I try to remind myself as well. Is that like there aren't other people like going and. Well, no, there probably are, but like I was crying in my bedroom being like, why can't I make this work? And I was like, it's just a job. and it's an awesome job, but like sometimes no is 100% okay, and you need to use that no to like empower yourself to do the things that you needed to in the future.
Oh, yes. How do we keep both cups full and balanced? Like, what are your best practices then to fill both of those cups well?
I mean, I'm still working on it. I'm still practicing.
Aren't we all?
I don't know if it is possible to be in complete balance with everything. And like, again, like I I'm going to look back on this in a year and be like, oh, Katie, you're such an idiot. Why'd you say that? But I right now what's working is knowing when the imbalances are going to occur, and then trying to clock that maybe ahead of time with myself, with my family. I don't know at this point if I can be 100% happy with my commitment to my family while also doing a contract, while also hustling to get the next thing. I don't know necessarily how to do that yet, but what I have found is I have been able to identify, like, when I go into a contract, I know that I'm going to need this time in order to do the thing. And so I talk to my partner, I talk to my mom, I talk to my community that helps me keep my family, and I say, like, these are some times I'm going to need some extra support. And then I try to, like, book time in order to refill the other things. So, like, I have a contract in January that I'm going to Persephone to direct something, and I'm already trying to, like, block out chunks in the summer that I'm not going to work on anything other than work on being with my family and being with my kids and putting in that time and investing in that time. And so I have, like, on my calendar, and it's scary because I'm like, if someone asks me to do something in that week, I have it blocked off. And how do I say no when I'm also, like, needing money to support the things? But I'm trying to be really conscious of blocking out time the same way that I would for a show. When I get a contract, I block out that time and I say no to other things. So why wouldn't I do that with my family, which is my other, like, heart contract, the thing that I need in order to keep that part going? So it's blocking off time for me. It's identifying when those things are going to be mucky, and then it's constantly looking back and reevaluating and being like, what worked, what didn't work, and also building a community around myself that's supportive of what I need and how I need. And like, I'm really lucky to have a spectacular partner that sort of takes a lot of the burden of the parenting when I am not burden, it's parenting, sorry, that was weird, taking the parenting when I'm not parenting. But I also have a really awesome mom and other mom that can drop in, and I have sister, and I have some friends that have said, like, if you need something, let me know, we can help you with babysitting or whatever. I have lots of cool kids that can babysit. So it's keeping that community alive too. And then also investing in that community. I have a couple moms that I'm friends with that have offered to babysit, and I'm trying to reciprocate the offer so that doesn't stop. Because if one person's like, I can babysit, and I'm never like, I feel like that's gonna eventually stop. So it's building and creating that community. And I think being honest and open about the trials and tribulations of everything I'm going through too, I think is really helpful. Again, I'm a super honest person. And so when people ask me about stuff, I'm like, I'm going to tell you the straight up truth, because then maybe we can work on it together, or maybe we can figure out a different path. I don't know everything. And maybe someone will be like, oh, hey, have you thought about it this way? So I try as much as I can to talk about it, and to let people know that it is a possibility too, because it is possible. It's just, it's hard, but it is possible. And I think the more people that have kids, the more people that try to invest in these things, I think the easier it's going to become, because it's hard right now in Winnipeg because the space wasn't made for a lot of families to be able to do this kind of thing, and it's starting to become a thing. And I say starting because there's a lot of people that are like, we are totally supportive, but I've experienced a lot of times when shit hits the fan that the support actually isn't there, and I've experienced where it is there. So it's just the knowledge that, like, things aren't ready yet, and I think there's a lot of hope and well wishes to make it ready. But
that was amazing. What I got from that was, like, talking and using your support system, creating a support system. You talked about time blocking, obsessed with that. You block off time for shows, block off time to create your balance and set yourself up for success again. And then you said constantly reevaluating. Yeah, I get that way for sure, where I'm like, this works. This is what it will be forever. No, it won't. Yeah. It has to change. It's going to change again. So constantly reevaluating is amazing. So thank you for those tools. Is there an aspect of your balance in life that involves your Métis identity and culture?
I mean, I am Indigenous, I am Métis, and so everything that I do is inherently Indigenous, Métis, whatever you want to connect with. But so I would say everything that I do is infused in my culture. I'm also Scottish. My mom was born in Australia. Like, all of this stuff speaks to who I am and how I do things. Family is extremely important in my family. We're very connected, sometimes too connected. Like when I started dating my partner, he's like, sorry, how many times do you speak to your mom a day? Like that's wild. So family is something that's really important to us. And food, we love sharing food. And it's funny because in rehearsal halls that I've started, I realize how important food is to bring me kind of back. And so I do have food in my rehearsal halls. Like I bring snacks and just sort of leave them on the side. And if people want snacks, they do. And the amount of times that people are like, oh yay, I'm gonna grab a chocolate bar, and then it just brightens up the room a little bit. I'm like, yeah, it's working. What other I have like ceremony. I go to ceremony, and I've started to like really dig deeper into that by like I connect with full moon ceremonies, which are really lovely, just to sort of keep figuring out things. I smudge, which I find is like a moment for myself. And it's funny because smudging is starting to become a more common practice in spaces. And because of that, people recognize that it's something that we need to stop and do. And before, like it's like kids in theater, it's like if they're hidden and in a house and they never get seen, then it's really easy to forget that it's something that people need to connect with. And so like now smudging in spaces, people know to like, okay, we're going to give them space. We'll give them a couple minutes to do this. And so with kids, I'm like, maybe kids just need to be in the rehearsal hall more. Maybe we just need to bring them into theaters more often. Like, because then people will be like, oh, they need to be here. Oh, they need to like make space for this stuff. So there's that. I think a lot of the things that I've been learning is about connecting with people and like where they're at. And that is so crucial in theater, like not coming in with an expectation and an expectation that people are going to do that thing. So I don't know if that's inherently attached to my identity, but like my family was really good at connecting with where I was at during the day. And I was a really wonderful, artistic, emotional kid. And so my family was really great with navigating that and finding out like, where are we today? How are we going to work today? And I think that's something that I carry into my space as well. Like, and it's something that I start my rehearsals off with, like, where's everyone at today? What's going on? Like, what are you bringing into the room? Like, because it's just going to make it easier if everybody knows, if you want to share, if like, it's just going to make things easier and faster too. I find like, if you're trying to like block out all the things that happen during the day, you're not going to be able to work at your best way. If you're like, okay, today I am working on 2 hours of sleep because my kid woke up and he puked all over his bed, and so I had to clean the bed, and then he came and slept in our bed, and then I couldn't sleep because I was worried he was going to puke on me. So that's where I'm at today. And then all of a sudden there's this like grace and release, and then I'm like, okay, now I can work. And if I get tired at 1:00 and I'm cranky as fuck, people will be like, oh, it's because of her kid. It's all good. This is normal. And they're not like, what's going on with her? Why is she being weird?
Was it difficult to start to open up about those honesties about like what your life is day to day, when people are like, how are you? To not just be like, I'm good, but literally be like, no, this is what my day is. Like really sharing those personal things that sometimes, I don't know, you want to keep hidden and you want to, leave it at the door and come into the room or whatever. And like, that's a part of who you are, is your kid woke you up that day, like, was that a difficult to break through and open up and be that honest with your rooms?
Yes. And I recognize the privilege that I have to be able to open up that way too, because like it's not easy. Also, there are times when I open up, I'm like, oh, you're not ready for me yet. Like, you aren't ready for that openness yet. And that's okay too. But it's like finding the people. I think that's also part of like me figuring out how I want to work and who I want to work with. Because there's time, I mean, like I said, I'm honest, I'm an open book. And so there's times when I open up my mouth, I say something with kindness and love in my heart. And then people aren't prepared to hear it, or they're like, I don't know how to deal with this information. And I'm like, okay, then maybe we're not ready to work with each other yet. But like, it was good that we had this experience together, because now you kind of know where I'm coming from and I kind of know where you're coming from. It's terrifying. But the funny thing is that I've had more experiences of people relating than experiences of people being jerks about things. Like, I'd say like 1 or 2 people would be like, shut up. But like the amount of people that are like, yes, oh my God, I felt that exact same way, or I had the same experience, or I had, that happens way more often. And I think the knowledge of that keeps me being honest and open, because like we're all trying to do the thing, we're all trying to do it well, we're all trying to work towards something together. Like why just assume everyone's going to be like, I don't want to work with you? Like it's, I think I lead with the hope and the, I don't know, the excitement that people are going to be kind of on the same page with me in that world too. And I've had so many wonderful moments where like I've been having just a terrible day. There's one experience where I worked with these 2 people in the same shows, or not the same shows, in different shows, for a few years. We'd worked in a couple different capacities. We were friendly, we were friends, and I was like, oh, I like these people. But there was just one day that I was sitting in the room. I had like a pretty traumatic life thing happen to me, and I was just like done. But it was rehearsal, it was tech, and so I was like, let's get this going.
I feel like it's always tech. I feel like all these stories would be like, and it was tech. It's always tech.
Well, what's with these like 24-hour days? Why can't we just have short tech days? Like, come on now. but I was sitting in the room sad and not wanting to release my sadness to other people. I shared with like one person, but then another girl walked in. She sat down at the desk, and she had the ability to just speak about what she was going through. And because of that, it released what I was going through, and we were able to share and connect. And then a third person walked in, same deal. And now we're like, I would say they're like my bestest buddies in the universe. And it's just that like I didn't have the courage to release where my heart was at, but someone else did. And because of that, I felt safe to do the thing too. And all 3 of us had a huge cry. We were sitting in the dressing room being like, what's wrong with us? Why are we doing this theater thing? And then we went out and we had just a spectacular time at tech, because we're like, we all know we're not here, and that's okay. And it was fun, and it was nice to like be seen and be felt and be heard. And so it's very scary, but it's nice to do.
Yeah, we're all just trying to be seen, heard, and understood.
Yeah.
There is a question about, can you elaborate, what is smudging?
Oh my goodness, yeah, smudging. So in my culture, smudging, you take they're called medicines. So there's certain things that you get from nature, and then you burn them. They create a smoke, and then you use the smoke to basically cleanse and take that on yourself and put your thoughts and hopes and wishes out to, some people call it prayers, out to your ancestors, out to the world. So one of them is sage, and sage in a lot of communities is a purifier, and it's just a way to take a moment and breathe and think about what your hopes and thoughts are, because there's like a way that you do it and stuff, but you connect with yourself, and you bring on the hope that you like hear good things and see good things and think good things and feel good things, and then you put it out into the world. And for it works for me. Some people it doesn't work for, and that's cool too, but it's just the way in which I can connect with like who I am and where I'm at, and then like kind of charge up for the next thing that I'm going through. And I do find when I've had like a really gross moment and I'm like, what the hell do I do with this? Like, I feel really gross about it. It's just a thing that I can do to like release it, which, I mean, it works for me. Some people it doesn't work for, and that's 100% cool. I've been in rooms that like I've done it with other people, which is really lovely. Yeah.
Thank you for,
kind of like really cool.
Yeah, intention setting and connection, and all those good things. Okay. The quote, "You can have it all, you can do it all." Does that phrase inspire you or make you cringe, especially as a woman and a mother?
I think what it implies is that like you can if you just work hard enough, and sometimes you can't, and that's okay. Or like sometimes it's not equal, and so even if you work your ass off, someone else is gonna get it, and there's nothing that you could have done to change that situation. So on one hand, I'm like, get that out of there. Like it isn't about like if you work hard enough. If you do, there are some people that aren't just gonna let you in, and that's up to them, and that's whatever. I do believe that it is hard work, I do believe what we do is extremely challenging. We're constantly opening our heart up and begging people to see our open hearts, our wonderful hearts, that like we know that we can bring all of this wonderful thing, and we're just like, please like me. And so it's hard because like my partner's a computer programmer, and he doesn't have to tell people his open heart, and like he doesn't have to go and hope for a job every couple weeks. Like that's just not a thing in his world, and it's hard. So can you have it all? It depends on what the alls are, I think, too. I love pushing boundaries, and I love when kids push back with it when I'm teaching. I love when kids are like, I have a question about what you just said, or I don't think I agree with that. I'm like, yes. I'm a big pusher of boundaries, and like with auditions, when I see the casting, I'm like, really? Are you sure that that's what you want? Because like I'm gonna put in for this because I think I would crush that. And so I'm a big pusher of that. So in the sense of you can have it all, like fighting against the things that you see as injustice and trying to like make sure that like walls start breaking down and stuff, sure. So you can, yes. Let's all have it all and let's make it better. But I don't think it's possible to just say like you need to work harder and that's how you're gonna get it. Like no, because that's just not the case.
So going into children and everything, what has being a parent taught you about your creativity and your artistry?
Okay, so a lot of my theater was based in TYA, which is Theater for Young Audiences. I think they are the coolest audience in the universe because they're honest. They will verbalize if they think something sucks. They don't have a filter necessarily to be like, yeah, that show was okay. Some kids do. Some kids are real awesome that way, but some kids are like, I didn't like that. That was weird. Why'd you say it like that? I don't believe you. And I think that's incredible. 'Cause like I like you gotta be present, you gotta be honest, you gotta be doing the things to the best of your capability, or else they're gonna call you on your bullshit. And I think that's really cool. And I find that with my two kids too. Like there are times that I say stuff that my kids, one of them will be like, what did you just say? Why did you say it like that? What does that mean? And it's that curiosity and the need for answers and the intensity that I try to bring into the room too. That I'm like, if I'm watching a show and I'm like, would Felix believe this? And if the answer is no, then like we need to change something. Because I don't want an adult to be sitting in an audience or a kid to be sitting in an audience and be like, that was fake. I want them to believe that it's real. I want them to be able to be in the story and experience it through people so that they can have those moments of figuring out things in this like beautiful world that we're creating.
I love that. Yeah, that you said you're good. You want to create art that in its most inherent level that a child will read as real.
Yeah. And I like 2A is hard, man. Sometimes you do 2 to 3 shows a day, which is like really messy. And it pulls out a different kind of like, I don't know, work in you that you're like, I gotta do this thing at 9 a.m. because our schools show up at 9 a.m. And then I gotta do another one at 7:30 because for some reason they put this big old gap in the middle because they're opening the show on Friday night. I don't know. Do TYA. It's amazing. Oh, I had one thought. Okay, so I wrote a play and I was pushing and trying to get this text out and trying to figure out how to do it. And my kid woke me up like at 2 a.m. and I started typing at 2 a.m. and it kind of made me look at like different hours of the day to do things. Because it broke open, like I was tired and I was like, I'm just gonna do it and see what happens. And so like it made me look at time differently. And also I look back on my life, I'm like, how did I finish that in the amount of time that I had? Like I literally had 2 hours and I choreographed a number for 40 kids. Like, how did I do that? It's because I had to. But like it's that too, that it's like there's just sometimes different things that you can tap into when you've got like all those different pressures. And obviously I'm kid focused, but like what other pressures that come in? Like if you're doing a double contract and you're like rehearsing and working, how do you fit the other work in the middle? Like, yeah. So it pressures you in a different way.
Is that kind of, again, throwing back to constantly reevaluating, like, oh, I can yeah, changing your schedule, saying what works best this week will maybe work differently next week or whatever. That's
Yeah.
cool. How can we better support parents and caregivers in our workplace?
I mean, ask them what they need. Come maybe with offers of things that you might think that they need, with the expectation that those might be not right. Give them space to ask for what they need and then actually follow through with the things. That's really important. I worked in a space that was like, we're kid friendly. We love kids. Yes, please bring your kids in. We like, if you need to bring your kid to rehearsal, that's totally cool. And I'm like, bullshit. You don't know my 2-year-old. But there was a time in that rehearsal we had it was awesome, and we had a lot of women that just happened to be parents, and it was the first show ever that it was like more parents than not parents. And one of the kids babysitters just backed out, and they're like, well, it's 15 minutes to rehearsal and I don't have a babysitter, so my kid's coming. And in rehearsal it worked really nicely because they like had a little space, and all of the moms of course were like, I'm gonna check in on this kid, and it was so much fun. Then we shifted into show mode, and it happened again with another person. They're like, okay, I have my kid that I need to bring, and there was a no. And they're like, no, we can't, because we have like it's not safe. And they're like, well, I mean, with all respect, like I can navigate the safety of my kid. I know their capabilities. I know how they can be safe and how they cannot be safe. And I get like liability and stuff with theaters, but also they're like, no, we can't take that on, basically. And it's like, well, you did take it on when you hired me. Like I am a parent. I've always been a parent, and you said that you were able to do this, and now you're not. Like, how come that has shifted? And I mean, it happened to me once too, that I was like, I don't have care, and you better believe I came into that room like fiery Katie. Like I was not I was not the best self when I was like, why can't my 8-year-old come and sit in the audience with an iPad and with a book, with me being on stage, being able to see them at all times, and with their knowledge of being able to come up. I wouldn't do that with my 2-year-old. My 2-year-old is not capable yet, but as a parent, I know those things. And so I wouldn't ask if I didn't think that it was a possibility. And so I think it's that follow through, and it's knowing kind of where you're at and what you can support, and not bullshitting about that. Like if you can't do it, don't say you can, because that changes the way that you think about things. Because I thought, well, I can bring my kid. This has been told to me. It's okay for me to have this as an option if something emergency happens, that this is an option. And then when it got pulled as an option, I was like, that's not fair. Like you can't say like rehearsals are going to be 9 to 5 and then all of a sudden have 10 p.m. rehearsals. That's like, it's not fair. That's a parameter that you set, and then you're changing the parameter. And I was saying before we got on this call, but there's spaces that I've worked in now. Native Earth, when I did my first contract with Native Earth, of course I was like bright-eyed and didn't know what to ask, and was like yes to everything. And they led with, do you want to access the like caregiver fund? And that's not, I don't think what they called it, but it was just an extra fund that they had that you could connect with as a caregiver and use however you want it. And I was like, what are the parameters? Do I need to use it on daycare? Do you need receipts? Do you need? And they're like, no, like we have this money that parents or that primary caregivers can access, and they can use it because they know what they need to use it on. Like if you want to use it on food, use it on food. If you want to use it on an extra babysitter because you're going to need an extra babysitter, use it on that. Like, and so the unfortunate thing is that because of that, I ask for it everywhere I work now. And when people are like, we don't have that, I'm like, oh, did you know that this place has it or this place has it? Because like, that's weird that you don't. And it's so bad. But I think I'm like, I'm just going to carry this. Any contract I get asked, I'm going to ask, so that they are aware that it's something that's out there, and that it's maybe something that they need to think around if they want to support parents in theater. And yeah.
Yes, future leaders of theater, write it into your budgets.
Yeah. And there's ways to do it. Like so my kids company, it's run by 3 women, or it's going to be next year, and one of them is currently pregnant and will have an infant when we're doing it. And I was trying to think of ways that we could support. We have baby-sized budgets. Like, it is just tiny. But I was like, what are some ways that I can help support this mom to feel safe in coming here? And something that I reached out to a parent that we are connected with, that mom and myself, and I asked if they would consider being an emergency babysitter. And I was like, it probably won't happen, but like, if all of a sudden this person finds out that their partner can't take their kid, or their parent can't take their kid, or their whatever can't take their kid, and that's going to be a barrier for them to come and help teach this class. And if I'm away on contract and can't hold their baby so that they can teach, would this person consider being an emergency babysitter? And of course, after checking with the mom and stuff, and that parent was like, yes, I would love to hold babies for 2 hours. Yes, please. And I was like, we'll pay you. And she's like, oh, shut up. But like, I still want to budget it, because like, there's going to be some time when someone's like, I want to be paid. But it's just kind of like thinking around. For me, I'm like, what would I have wanted? If some theater was like, hey, guess what? We set up an emergency babysitter for you in case yours falls through. You don't have to use it. But if you want, it's there. I would have been through the roof like that. Like, it just takes that little piece of worry, because you've got 9,000 other worries. It takes that little piece of worry away. So it's just thinking around, like, how might I feel supported or appreciated by bringing in food, by checking in, by saying, hey, how's it going today, by actually listening to the things that they want and actually following through. It's all those little things that make you want to come back and want to like shout from the rooftops, Native Earth just gave me a primary caregiver fund just because I didn't even know to ask and they led with it. That's dope. So it's stuff like that.
Yes, that's the future, or current. We should do it now, but it's also the future. As we wrap up, okay, why are assistants and associates essential?
Oh my God. Because it's another voice in the room. It's like someone you can collaborate with. No one knows all the answers, and anyone who comes in thinking that they do, they don't. They're just lying. And that's something I'm learning, is that I think it's okay that we don't have the answers, but if we have a big room of people to look at and be like, what do you think? And have the courage to be like, what do you think? Then I think that is crucial, and that's how art is made. So why are they, I mean, they're integral. Like, that's what needs to happen. Also, like, succession, theater's so rough with succession planning. Like, what the hell? What's going to happen when all of these people that just keep getting booked, what's going to happen when they're not doing it anymore? There's got to be some like, and we need the space to make mistakes in a safe zone where like people are going to hold you up. And if you do make a mistake, they go, oh, it's okay, I got you. We'll work through this together. We need that space. Because if it's just like, I'm assisting and now you're thrown to the wolves and you're directing a thing and you're all alone, and if you screw up, you don't get hired again. That's not okay. Like, you need to be able to have that, like, I say like a safety net, but like, you need to have that ability to be able to figure out how you do things and make mistakes so that you can learn from them. It's so important. And I've had the opportunity to assistant direct in quite a few different rooms, and there's still people that I'm like, I would assistant direct under you.
Do you have any final advice that you haven't said yet today about work-life balance, specifically even to mothers or caregivers?
And fathers and parents and
caregivers, yes.
Yeah. And aunties and
aunties.
I mean, ask for what you need. And again, I am in such a privileged place to be able to say that now, because when you're coming in and you're like, I've never done this thing and I just want them to like me and I just want them to pay me for the work that I'm doing, asking is exceptionally scary, but it allows you to figure out who you are and what you need. So just asking for things, and like, maybe they'll say no, but like the worst case is they say no, and maybe they don't hire you back, but then you probably don't want to work for them anyway. But like, the worst case is they say no. If you're like, do you have this caregiver fund? No. Huh, okay. Like, it doesn't hurt me in any way to ask, but then what if they say yes, or what if they say no, but maybe we should, and then all of a sudden I'm making changes for other people too, and it's not just about me. I'm going to be supporting our whole community. So I think that's a big thing. And then asking why, if you get a no, I think is also very scary but informative. and maybe not like a jerky why, but like if you get a no, like if you're like, can I bring my kid to rehearsal today because I don't have a caregiver, or can I have Thursday off because I need to go and check in with my therapist, and they say no, I think why is a totally awesome way to get them to also think about the no as well, and maybe they'll have a really good reason. And talking, I know I broach on this as much as possible, just be like brave and talk about the things that you need, want, feel, with kindness and love. That's the other thing.
That's the perfect way to end this recording. Thank you so much, Katie. Leading with kindness and love and being brave. I think that was a huge takeaway. Be brave and to talk about it. But this is extremely helpful in like giving tools to create a better work-life balance as well. Thank you so much, Katie.
Thank you. I'm glad.
And there you have it, folks. That was the absolute dreamboat, Katie German, chatting to us today about the ever so important topic of work-life balance. Thank you so much, Katie. You can find her on Insta at Katrina German. All right, friends, we've also had a community reach out today, so we love that and we wanted to get it to your earbuds. If you're listening from Ontario, Canada this season, there is a live charity show happening over at the Burlington Performing Arts Centre with performances by our friends over at JJ Dance Arts. G'day, guys. That is happening December 13th and 14th. The show is titled Light, Heavy, Light, and 100% of the proceeds are going to the Lighthouse for grieving children. So that's free grief support for kids that have lost a sibling or a parent. I know that they raised $15,000 last year and they are aiming to raise $20,000 this year. So check out our friends over at JJ Dance Arts on Insta and you can link directly to the event from there. All right, legends, you know where to find us. If you like what you heard here today, head on over to official CGDC on Insta, and you know where to find us. We are on Insta at Tits and Teeth Podcast. Our website is titsandteethpodcast.com. And whatever you're facing out there today, legends, keep those tits up, those teeth out, because you got this, we got you, and we bloody love ya.